Hello, friends, and welcome to Menopause Makeover. I am so excited that you are here today. I am answering your questions. I've picked 3 questions that I get very frequently, and I thought it would be a blessing to you to go over these 3 different topics to help you make best decisions with your supplements, with your nutrition, and with your exercise. Gaining belly fat in perimenopause and menopause, even while eating trim healthy and doing all the right things. Feeling exhausted, inflamed, and so done with the scale. Hey, I'm Chris Honeycutt, Jesus follower, trim healthy coach, and your midlife hype girl. I believe God didn't design you to live stuck, bloated, or burned out. This podcast helps you partner with your hormones, ditch the belly fat, and finally feel strong, calm, and confident in a body you actually enjoy living in. Hey friend, before we jump into today's episode, I've got good news that's too good to wait for the end. My Black Friday flash sale is officially open. You can now grab 31 days of Fitness for just $31, a full month of 20 to 30 minute workouts, daily coaching emails, and my pre-post workout fueling guide to help you stay strong and consistent all December long. And if you've been waiting for the right time to join my signature program, this is it. The Midlife Fat Loss Formula is $400 off right now. It is 6 months of coaching, accountability, and a plan that finally works with your hormones and not against them. These are the biggest deals I offer all year, and they're only available through December 1st. So go to getyourtrimon.com to grab your spot or get on my email list for all the details and reminders before the sale ends. All right, let's get into today's show and let me show you how to finish this year strong. So one of the questions that I get is the correct type of training. What is the correct type of training for menopausal women? And I believe that they have seen a couple of influencers and different doctors and nutritionists and exercise personal trainers and whatnot talk about zone 2 training. And my thought about this really is why zone 2 training is not the best for menopausal women. And so I want to tell you what zone 2 training is, because I think a lot of you might be accidentally doing this type of exercise thinking that this is a needle mover. So what is zone 2 training? Basically what this is a steady state cardio, which has you working about 60-70% of your maximum heart rate. If you understand what that is, that's sort of a mid-range. You're not working really hard and you're not just sauntering down the lane. So it is a good thing to do zone 2 for several reasons, but it's not the needle moving exercise for the woman in menopause, postmenopause, or perimenopause. So basically what this is maybe you go for a walk for an hour. Maybe you go for a hike that's not very strenuous for 45 minutes to an hour. Maybe you jump on a bike and you're just kind of riding around for an hour or so. It is the type of exercise that you could really do it for a long period of time and you can talk. Basically what happens is there's not enough intensity here to really help you make adaptive changes in your metabolism and support your hormones. And what it can do is that longer steady state can actually raise cortisol, which is going to cause that underlying stress on our body, which when we have a raised cortisol, we're going to have higher blood sugar, and then we're going to have more insulin. And so what we want to do is we want to use more polarized training methods, which is what I'm going to talk about. But for right now, where zone 2 can benefit you is if you're using that a couple times a week, maybe you shorten your walks. When I do my walks, I usually do a 35 to 40 minute walk. Some days I will split it up 10 minutes or 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a day, which I believe is best because we're actually helping our insulin when we do that. But the longer steady state exercises are really not going to help turn on fat burning. Yes, it's going to help you with your cardiovascular, your heart. It is going to burn some extra calories, which is wonderful. It's going to get you moving. But if you have that much time, there's going to be other things that we can do that are more beneficial. So the zone 2 training really isn't the needle mover. What happens is estrogen declines as we hit our perimenopause and menopausal years. And we lose that protective effect that estrogen has on muscle, on insulin sensitivity, and on our recovery, and really our stress resilience. So that zone 2 cardio, it doesn't build muscle, and it doesn't stimulate the same hormonal signals that resistance training or interval training, that would be your HIIT or your sit or your jump training, would do. And so without enough muscle stimulating load, midlife women lose their lean muscle mass, and this is your metabolism. It also really doesn't contribute very much to increased bone density and insulin sensitivity. So we want to take a look at more polarized training. Now, the other thing, steady state cardio, like I said earlier, can become a stressor rather than a fat burning tool. If we are doing it too much, more than 3 or 4 longer sessions weekly, if we're doing it in a fasted state, that big long hour walk or bike ride in a fasted state, or we're not doing it with enough protein or recovery, that can boost that cortisol. The other thing that it doesn't do is it doesn't stimulate muscle protein synthesis. This is the switch that we want on. We want that muscle protein synthesis because your muscle is a metabolic organ. So after 40, we need strong leucine triggers and resistance-based work, which is lifting heavy, HIIT or sit or jump training. Those are what I'm saying are polarized. What do I mean by polarized? That means they're going to get your heart rate up in an intense way. That means it's going to break down your muscle fibers in a very intense way. And so we can do those with a shorter period of time, especially our HIIT and sit. And even with our strength training, you can get a good strength training session in anywhere from 20 minutes to 45 minutes upwards to an hour if you're more intermediate or advanced. So another thing that happens is our metabolic flexibility declines without that intensity. And that zone 2 training just isn't intense enough. So that menopause can blunt our metabolic flexibility, which means this is your ability to switch between burning carbs and fat as fuel. So when we add the polarized, which I'm going to call this zone 5, this is going to be your burst, that HIIT or sit, and really both strength intervals. This is going to improve your mitochondrial function, and it's going to keep your metabolism responsive. That is what we want to do. So that zone 2 alone doesn't retrain that system. So that was a question that I had from somebody. What is zone 2 training, and how do I know if I'm doing it, and what do I need to be doing instead? So that is a great question, and hopefully that answers your question. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is probably a supplement that you have heard of. It's very popular right now. It is one of the most studied supplements out there today, and it's called creatine. And just real quickly, creatine helps your muscles store more phosphocreatine, which is used to regenerate ATP. This is your cell's quick energy source. This is your powerhouse, your energy. Think of it as energy. So creatine can actually help you improve strength and power. It can help you recover quicker. It can help you with your brain energy and cognition. And it really does support lean mass, bone density, and even mood, especially in menopause, right? I don't know about you, but my moods in menopause remind me a little bit of maybe when I was either pregnant or different times of PMS. My mood has been pretty up and down, and my brain as well, even not being able to remember people's names. I mean, it still is happening to me somewhat, but it's much better since I have been on hormone replacement therapy and I am using creatine. So I'm giving myself, all the support that I can, but still having some of those issues. So creatine, as far as the dosage goes, the standard dose is 3 to 5 grams a day. You really don't need more. There are studies about more creatine, and that is maybe for a different type person. But what I mean by that is either athletes or you can use that in recovery states when you're maybe traveling. But really what you need to know as a peri or postmenopausal woman, 3 to 5 grams a day, and you're going to get the creatine monohydrate. This actually will lead to a full muscle saturation in about a month. So it takes really a month for you to start seeing all those benefits because it's got to build up. So taking more really doesn't increase the benefits once your muscles are saturated. The key here is just to be consistent, just like with anything else, is to be consistent. So another couple things it does is it helps repair muscle during menopause, especially when estrogen drops, and it helps you recover. And this is a biggie. I don't know about you guys, but I've noticed, I'm 57 now, and I've noticed just in the last maybe 3 or 4 years that it really takes me longer to recover from my pickleball matches, from my heavy lifting sessions, sometimes even, from just everyday activities, cleaning my house, whatnot. Seems like I don't have as much stamina, and it does seem like I need to recover a little bit more. So that creatine can be very helpful for that. And then also, we want to prevent our muscle and bone. We want to preserve them, I should say. We want to preserve our muscle and bone as our metabolism shifts. So creatine is a great addition. The way that I take it, first of all, I will take it every day. And where I got mine was at Costco. It's organic. It was only $22 for 130 servings. That's a great deal. It is third-party tested, and I take it either with my essential amino acids after my workout, or I will put it in my daily smoothie. It does not have any taste to it, super easy to consume. Some people will say that sometimes they will gain a little bit of weight on the scale. Usually this is just a little bit of water weight. Your body will bring in a little bit of water weight, actually in between muscle cells, but it's not true fat and it usually goes away. I didn't experience that, but I've had some clients that have. So if you are wanting that extra help for muscle prevention and recovery and bone health and brain health, you may want to take a look at creatine. Break, because I don't want you to miss this. My Black Friday flash sale is happening right now, and you can save big. 31 days of fitness for just $31. Midlife fat loss formula, $400 off my 6-month coaching group. Both programs are designed to help you stay consistent, balanced, and strong through the holidays and head into January already ahead. So go to getyourtrimon.com to grab your spot and or get on the email list for updates before the sale ends December 1st. All right, back to the episode. All right, last question was, why is it so, I'm so confused. I hear people say intermittent fast, and I hear some people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. So where I'm landing on that is breakfast is very important. And so this information is coming from the Trim Healthy Wisdom book. This is also coming from Dr. Stacy Sims. I'm certified with her, as well as Flipping 50. And the science shows that for women specifically in midlife and beyond, so that's perimenopause to postmenopause, that are having that breakfast within about an hour and a half of waking is very important for our blood sugar, for our energy, and for reducing cortisol. So there's a normal cortisol rise in the morning, usually between 7 and 8 or 6 and 7, something like that. Depends on what time you go to bed and what time you wake up. And when we fuel and give our body the fuel that it needs, it can support that cortisol better, which is helpful for balancing your hormones, because your cortisol is going to affect your insulin. And also, there are other hormones such as leptin and ghrelin that are also going to be impacted. So when we manage our cortisol, we're actually managing and balancing our hormones. So think about when we have that cortisol rise and it's chronically high, it will tell our body to store fat around the abdomen because we don't have estrogen there telling the fat where to go anymore. And we have a lot of cortisol receptors in our abdomen. That's why it goes there. So having that breakfast within about an hour and a half of waking can support the cortisol level. The other thing that it does is that it stabilizes our blood sugar and cravings. That's another thing that happens when estrogen declines is our blood sugar gets a little bit wacky and we might have more spikes than we are used to having, and that brings in more insulin. And insulin is a fat storage hormone. Although we need that in the proper amount, we don't need the insulin spike and overage of that, and we don't need that too frequently. So when we have that breakfast, and I'm going to talk about what type of breakfast because it's very important. We're not talking about cereal. We're not talking about orange juice and bacon. We're going to be talking about healthy, protein-centric meals. And basically, we're talking about high protein, high fiber. That's going to be the best meal for the menopausal woman. And we're going to add to that either our carbohydrate-based, which is our energizing our e-meal, or we might add our fat-based, where we have a low carb and a higher fat, or we may have what we call in Trim Healthy land a crossover, which is going to be your carbs with a little bit of fat, but you're anchoring your breakfast with that 25 to 30 grams of protein. This is also going to help calm down that cortisol, stabilize our blood sugar, and even help with those cravings later on during the day. If you have cravings at 3 in the afternoon, this is going to be a game changer for you. The other thing that very healthy, protein-anchored, high-fiber meal is going to do, and this is a biggie, it is going to protect your muscle mass. This is key. After the age of 30, we start losing our muscle mass rapidly, and that is one reason why we start putting on belly fat, because our muscle, think about your muscle as your metabolic fire, your metabolic currency. No muscle, you aren't burning, or little muscle, less muscle, you're not burning many calories, and we're not burning through all the calories, and we're not burning our own fat as fuel. So we want to protect the muscle. And so the breakfast that's going to have the 25 to 35 grams of protein is going to have enough leucine in there to trigger or switch on that muscle protein synthesis. What does that mean? Muscle growth, muscle protection. So that is why we're going to be focusing on the type of breakfast that you're going to have instead of delaying breakfast and raising cortisol level and then having all those calories from 12 until 7 at night. We're going to back it up and we're going to start strong. The other thing that it's going to do is going to give you energy. Estrogen is so big, so many responsibilities she has. And one of them is to provide our energy. I don't know about you, but when my hormones started to decline, my energy levels started to decline as well. And even brain function as well. So when we have that morning hit, that fuel, and especially when we're having a good carbohydrate, fiber, and protein breakfast, I usually have 4 or 5 each week. You are going to be saying, body, here is your energy to go do all the things that you need to do. It will support your cortisol. It will support your hormones. It will tell your body, okay, I'm good. I can go. I've got my energy now. The other thing too, it can help with helping you not overeat later. I don't know about you, but I used to be in the habit of eating breakfast a lot later, around 10:30. And then I would have lunch around 1:30, and then having a snack. And then I just felt like I was hungry from the time that I was making dinner until I went to bed. And first of all, when I started getting 4 hits of protein, 25 to 30 grams a day, that's breakfast, lunch, snack, and or protein and dinner, that was a game changer. And there's studies that show that if you just change that, people start to see a decrease in visceral belly fat and overall fat. But when we have that first morning fueling, it's going to help with the afternoon. You're going to be stabilized. Your blood sugar is going to be stabilized. You're not going to have as many cravings. And so that is why breakfast is important. And some of you, I work, with a lot of different ladies, and some of you say, I'm just not hungry in the morning. And I used to be the same way. And here's the thing. We are always training our bodies, believe it or not. I know sometimes you think you are listening to the cue of your body, but a lot of times we have trained our body to be this way, a certain way. And also, when cortisol levels are higher, your appetite is going to be lower. And that's another reason why sometimes we're really not as hungry. So it did take me a while to get used to breakfast, and you don't have to start out with a huge breakfast. But let's make sure we're starting out with 25 to 30 grams of protein with some fiber. Let's at least start with that. Maybe it's a smoothie. That is a favorite way to get all the things in. And now I have several different things that I love to rotate for my breakfast, but it takes time. So give yourself some time. And also, once you start this, that's going to be your first fueling of the day. So we don't want to be grazing all day long. We want to have our breakfast, within an hour and a half so of waking. And then for me, it's 4 hours later. I go 4 hours before I'm eating anything. Now, if I'm eating a carbohydrate-based meal, an e-meal, or sometimes that smoothie, sometimes I will be hungry at the 3.5 mark. It's totally fine. 3 to 4 hours is what Trim Healthy Mama says. I do better with 4 hours. A lot of my ladies who are older in their more mature years do better with a little bit longer, that 4 hours. Then I have that protein-centered lunch, and it doesn't always have to be animal protein. I love stacking protein. So I've got plant protein and maybe using some protein supplements with that. Then I'm getting maybe a protein hit during a snack time. It might not even be that I'm having any food with that. Maybe it's either some animal protein, or maybe I'm going to be using the essential amino acids. And then normally for dinner, that's an easy one because we're usually going to be eating around the table and we're going to have our salmon or our hamburger or our turkey, chicken, whatever. So that is the science behind breakfast. So if you are struggling with getting that breakfast in, I would just start working on it. If you're eating later, 10:30, just back it up an hour. Give yourself time. After that breakfast, if you can go move 10 minutes, 10 minutes is magic. It can help you with blood sugar regulation. It can help you with insulin spike. It can get your body moving. So maybe add a little bit of movement after that breakfast and just start practicing. Hey friends, I don't want you to coast through December and lose your momentum. This year, I'm inviting you to join me for 31 Days of Fitness, a month of movement designed for the midlife woman who wants to stay consistent, strong, and stress-free through the holidays. These are short, doable workouts that help you move with intention so you can keep your energy up, support your hormones, and head into January already feeling confident instead of starting over. No guilt, no all or nothing, just simple daily movement to keep your metabolism fired up and your sanity intact. Want in? Make sure you're on my email list to get the sign-up link and all the fitness goodies delivered straight to your inbox. You can join me at chris@getyourtrimon.com because this December, we're not just surviving the holidays, we are thriving through them.